Hello, and welcome to For the Love of Baby Boomers. I'm your host, Dolores Clivert, and today we have an awesome show, a very different show. It's called The Offsprings of Baby Boomers, and I'm so excited because we have two lovely young guests here representing the Millennials. Hey! We have Lauren,
yes,
and we have
Anita.
She had to say it because
Okay,
I had a brain pot, y'all.
It's okay.
And so, yes, we're here to talk about what it was like growing up being the offspring of baby boomers. Mm-hmm. And before we go on, I'd like to explain baby boomers are right now between the ages of 60 and 79. They are seniors, and millennials are between the ages of, help me out.
Oh my God. I'd say 45 and
maybe like 30 and no, I was about to say
okay.
maybe 30.
We're going to revisit that during the break. We're going to look it up. But meanwhile, I want to welcome y'all for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
And being the guest, talking about what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to start by asking you to introduce yourself. Lauren, would you please tell us about yourself?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, everybody. My name is Lauren, and I am 38 years old. I am, of course, the offspring of two boomers. My father is in his 70s, and then my mother is in her 60s, early 60s. So definitely, I fit the qualifications for being an offspring of the boomer.
I think so. Yep. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
1981 to 1996.
So the answer is 1981 to
1996 is a millennial.
Oh, okay.
And then you become Gen Z.
All right. So introduce yourself and tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name's Anita Young. I am in my mid-40s. I am also the child of two baby boomers. My mother was born in 51 and my dad was born in 53. I met Lauren through a nonprofit mothers group, and we've been inseparable since.
Oh, wonderful. So y'all good friends,
yes.
Huh? Okay. All right. That's great. Well, I met you, I would say, a couple of weeks ago, and I had this idea when I met you. When I came in, I was thinking about this topic, having offsprings of baby boomers come and talk, because I had just finished talking to another person who was a millennial, and it was over coffee that day. I was all wired up on this coffee. And
oh, yeah.
That day.
Oh, wow. Best show ever.
Oh, my goodness. And I just thought it would be a great idea because I know how we grew up and what our parents was like, and I just was interested in what it was, how y'all viewed it growing up with us, baby boomers. I, by the way, am a baby boomer as well. I'm 68. I'm right in the middle, right there in the middle, because we have, like I said, from 61 to 79. So I'm in the middle. I was too young for some things and just right for others. And anyway, so I would like to start by asking you, letting it be open. Mm-hmm. What's something that you thought about when I asked you to be on this show? What's the first thing that came to your mind? Anybody could jump in with that.
I'd say for me, it was exciting. Just, I've never had anyone really want to sit down with me and have a conversation about how I grew up. So when I hear other people my age just kind of talk about the way that they were raised, I say, my situation was a little bit different from most people, but it was one that I don't regret. I loved it. So for me to be able to sit down and be like, oh, this is how my parents raised me, and it has definitely, shaped me into who I am today, which I love. So, definitely I was very excited.
Okay. And
I'd echo that too as well. I felt excited, but also Lauren knows this. I love to talk. But it's definitely something that's like, this is an opportunity to talk about like the insight of growing up with two baby boomer parents who are children of the silent generation, and seeing those generations interact and how that affected how my parents raised me, especially being in a conservative rural part of Virginia.
Well, to just let the audience know, the silent generation is the generation before the baby boomers.
Yes.
Okay. So they're the older seniors right now.
Born in or around the Great Depression.
Right. So going back to yourself, Lauren, tell us something about your growth, your parents and how you were raised.
So I was raised I lived with my mother. So let's say that. So my parents actually divorced when I was young, but my dad was still in my life. So it was, I had that 2 houses every other weekend. I'm going to my dad's house. And so it was, my mom is working 3 jobs. So she's doing what she can, but my aunt was also like my second mother. So it was just like, okay, if I'm not at home with my mom, I'm with my aunt. But it was also very fun because it's like, even though I knew my mother was consistently working to make sure everything was good, of course, at the time I didn't know this, it's like hindsight looking, she was busting her butt to make sure we had a roof. I had everything I needed. But I mean, it was just very fun because even just kind of going back, of course, my grandmother, part of the silent generation as well, they were raised differently. So my grandmother and my grandfather, like, I want to kind of say they were against the grain. So like, in the area where they grew up in North Carolina, or where they raised my family in North Carolina, everybody knew who they were, because not saying that they were like the prestigious blacks, but I was telling Anita the other day, my grandfather owned a trailer park community.
Oh, okay.
So,
Like, shout out to the businessman.
Yes,
Entrepreneur.
Right, entrepreneur spirit, right. So, and I was telling her, like, everybody knew Price Road, everybody knew who my grandfather was. So with that, like, I always laugh and say my mom's bougie because my grandmother was bougie. But like, my grandmother made sure that my mom and her sisters, because it was 4 girls, she made sure that they weren't looked at as like the bottom of the barrel, or they didn't feel as though they were the bottom of the barrel. So even now I still call my mom bougie, and I'm like, girl, you so bougie. Like, she's like, no, that's just how I was raised. But from that, that's how I was raised as well. So it's like, I never experienced a lot of things that other people were like, oh no, like I went through that, I did this and that and the third. And I tell people all the time, it's like, I'm very aware of things that go on, especially in Richmond, with it being the Confederate capital. But I didn't experience these things personally until I got older. So it's like, it's kind of like a blessing and a curse, because it's like, okay, was my mom kind of, I don't want to say she was sheltering me, but the opportunities that I was afforded allowed me to not have to experience the things that many others did
not
have
be
to
in
experience.
it.
Right.
Okay.
So it was, even now I laugh because it's like, I call myself ignorant because there's a lot of things that I don't know, or like, just because I'm black, you would think I know all like the rap songs from the 80s and 90s, and I'm like, yeah, y'all, I don't know that. Like, that's,
you're not by yourself.
but, it's just like I can't relate to that song. Sorry, like, like, oh, this might be my song, but no, I can't relate to it. So, growing up with my mom, it was definitely one where, in hindsight, seeing that she definitely bust her butt to make sure that she could allow me to have that life that not even that she wanted, that I wanted to do, because I'm an only child as well.
Oh, you're only child.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So me being an only child, and then when I went to my dad's house, like even now to this day, I'm daddy's little girl, like through and through. So it's, definitely, I'm going to my dad's house. I have my own room. I have my own TV set up.
Yeah.
And, for those of us that remember, the box was like the little music video channel. Like, I would always have it on that. I remember my dad bought me my first CD, which was the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack. Like, just like all the stuff like that. It was now that I look at it, like I was afforded the opportunity to have a good life,
Okay.
but they didn't make it to where I was spoiled or I was like uppity.
Well, let me ask you this. How did outside faith come into play?
I'm gonna tell you this, and my mom's an apostle now.
Okay.
So I would say faith, which is hilarious because I grew up in a Baptist church, but my mom was that typical hypocrite in the church, and this is something that she has said, so I know she doesn't mind me saying it as well. So I really didn't know what faith was, you know. So it was
So
like
it wasn't an every week and. Okay.
Nope, it wasn't. My dad was a deacon, so yes, I knew he was going to church, but it wasn't anything. I wasn't that kid that was going to Sunday school every Sunday. I wasn't in the children's choir. Like, they still allowed me to have the liberties of a child.
And this is an offspring of a boomer.
Yeah.
But when your mother was growing up, if we were to talk to her mother.
Oh, yeah, no, they was at church every Sunday. I can say, oh, yes.
Very different.
And then it was a very small church. I know for sure because it's like, they grew up in Eden where Tabitha Brown is from. So there was one church on Price Road, the same road that my grandfather
and everybody knew.
And that's the thing, because my dad's family and my mom's family both went to that church. So, oh no, definitely. It was a every Sunday thing. So I think also with the fact that she went to church every Sunday, it was like, you know, she had me and she grew up and she was like, no, I don't want to traumatize her from that Baptist, not say fit, but that whole Baptist, you know, church going every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, everything, you know. So yeah.
Okay, Lauren.
Sunday, Friday, Saturday.
Yes.
My experience mirrors many of what Lauren's is. Both of my parents were in the military, so they did ROTC, and that's how they met. And I spent most of my early childhood up and down the East Coast. I would come, of course. My dad was from Tappahannock, and my mother was from Fredericksburg. And imagine, of all things, them meeting in the military and being like an hour away from each other, right? Both of my parents come from very Baptist and or evangelical families. My mother was part of my grandmother, actually. My maternal grandmother was an evangelical minister.
Okay.
And so, you know, my mom grew up a PK, and she told me a lot of her stories growing up of being teased and being called a holy roller. And, you know, they went to church every Sunday. And, you know, when she got to be out of the house, you know, as some PKs do, they kind of go off and do their own thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of put her in a mind frame that understood that how her parents were trying to raise her from some of the mistakes she did. So that kind of carried on to me. And my dad, you know, very much was in the military for 5 years, got out. He was more the relaxed parent. Mm. But some of the things that I saw from my parents, like the difference with money, right? We all know about how Black people had no access to financial institutions.
And still.
Yes, yes. But this is also coming from, you know, my grandparents coming out of the Great Depression, and, you know, my maternal grandparents would save. They saved for everything, and this is something I saw them do, and that I aspire to do that in my own life. And I really have, you know, negative feelings about having credit card. I mean, they bought everything in cash. They had their own businesses and things like that.
I'm going to interrupt you for a minute, because this has been said just recently on one of my podcasts, the Financial Hour with Nate Banks. And my father, you remind me of my father, because he's like, if you can't save up and buy it with cash, then you don't need it.
That part.
And I heard that over and over and over again. So, but okay.
Yeah, and I saw that in the way my